Hi, today we're going to talk about solo travel. I've traveled solo quite a few times and I thought I would share my experience with you. When I was talking to a friend of mine that I met on my Egypt trip, I was telling her my experience and she thought, oh my God, you just gave me some really good information and I'm really interested in knowing more about that because it's good information. You know, when you travel alone without a lot of experience, it's nice to know someone else who's done it so that you can have a little bit of, some insight on what it's like to travel alone. 2/3 of the women right now in this day and age are traveling alone. I mean, it's really an important thing. That's why one of the things I want to do is get groups of women together. Because a lot of women are single or they don't have travel partners or their husbands don't want to travel. So what my goal is to gather a group of women and go on trips, something that they ordinarily wouldn't do on their own. But single travel is still really fine and it's fun and you can do it. Some of the things you need to pay attention to is you need to be courageous. You know, you need to say, I can do this, because traveling expands your world. Traveling is an education that you can't ever get and it changes you. I mean, when you go to another country and you see other people and how they live and how different it is from how you live, it really expands your understanding of the world, and it creates a global understanding and community that is really special, and you can't really get it until you experience it. That's what's so important. So some of the tips that I have are, when you're going to a place, you need to make sure that you are in the community. So go to a local store, maybe stay at more of a local place instead of staying at a Marriott or a one of those chain hotels, which are fine because sometimes they definitely have their advantage. Stay at a little local Airbnb or stay somewhere where it's more part of a neighborhood and you can kind of get the feel for that. When I've gone to Florence by myself, what I've done is I've stayed both places, right? I've stayed in a nice hotel where I can feel like I'm inside by the Duomo and by the center region, and then I've stayed at other places where I'm more in a neighborhood, and they're both really great. And sometimes what I would do is just walk around slowly to absorb everything, just take my time. I would go to the gardens because I love the gardens. So I would go to the different gardens and I would enjoy just being there and feeling the energy and just tapping in to the beauty of the place and just looking around at the different people. That was really fun, and it's a really nice way to learn the area that you're in. Another thing would be to when you're going out to dinner, don't have your phone or your book with you, although those sometimes are helpful because sometimes it's nice to feel like you have your phone there and you have something to do while you're eating. But if you're sitting at a bar, talk to people and smile. And, you can smile at people a lot, but as a woman, you need to also pay attention to your safety, and you don't want to randomly smile at and make yourself unsafe. I know that sounds terrible because you want to be friendly and open, but you need to pay attention that you're not overly smiling to put yourself in a position that might not be safe. But you do want to smile, you want to encourage conversation, and you want to make sure that you can talk to the barista or talk to your server. Learn what they like to do. What's their favorite place to go? I remember one time when I was in Florence, and I've been to Florence so many times over the years, I was taking an Italian class. But before my class, I went in and I had a little breakfast, and I was talking to the server, and he was telling me all about San Gimignano and telling me about Monteriggioni and all of these really cool places, which I didn't know at the time. And so I did end up going to those places, and they were really great. And I've been there by myself, and it's been great. Another tip is when you're going somewhere, it's nice to have like a mission or like a project. Like, think about what is it that you want to accomplish today and make that your goal. Because if you have a goal, you kind of have something to look forward to. If you're going to a museum, what do you want to learn from the museum to give yourself something to do? Because when you're traveling alone, while it's really great and it really brings out the bravery in you, or you can really stand in your confidence and really stand in your power, it also sometimes can bring out some insecurities. Honestly, I mean, I know when I've traveled alone, sometimes it's like I just get so lonely. I have a trouble sometimes opening up and talking to strangers or inviting a stranger for dinner, and other people are so great at that. They can go to a restaurant by themselves, and next thing you know, they're at a table full of people and having a great time. Personally, I haven't experienced that because it's not my personality. Although maybe that should be one of my goals, is to try to, make friends in a different way. But sometimes you do get lonely. I mean, I have gone where I've had a really great time and by myself, and I'm traveling, I'm going to these gardens, I'm going to look at all these places, and I feel really great. And then sometimes I get a little lonely and I think, gosh, so I'm here halfway across the world by myself. I don't know anybody. What should I do? So that's when I go on to viator.com and I find a tour. So when I was in Tuscany last time, I'm like, I'm by myself, but I really want to go out into Tuscany. I want to see the trees and the olive groves, but I don't want to rent a car, and what am I going to do? I went on to viator.com and I booked a tour, a wine tour. So I went to the bus station, I got on with a bunch of people, and we went wine tasting, and I met some really wonderful people there because it was a much easier environment to meet people, and it was really fun. So sometimes you need to look outside the box. How do you feel in this moment while you're traveling? Do you feel good and you're happy being alone and traveling? And then sometimes you might feel a little lonely, like, God, I just need people. And then you figure out how to do that. And that's why you have the freedom to do whatever you want, and it works out really well. Another tip when you're talking to people, it's always nice to learn the language, even if it's just a few words. Most people speak English, but it's really, it shows such respect when you're at least try to say hello, good morning, thank you. Those types of things are really important. And then, of course, Google Translate. Sometimes if you just can't get the message across, take out your Google Translate in your app and, translate something. If you don't have data, or if it's too expensive, you can always download the language before you go, so you don't have to worry about the internet. So that's really important. Traveling alone also, can put a woman at risk. I don't like to think in those terms because I always feel like I'm safe, but you need to be aware of your surroundings. You always need to be safe. You need to make sure that your money is in front of you, that you need to be extra careful that you're making sure that your money and your credit cards and your passport are with you and that they're safe. So you want to make sure that you bring things like the travel on backpack or travel on purses or something where you can hook it in and you can make sure that your stuff is safe, because you want to make sure. You want to be confident. You want to go with a purpose and smart enough to be aware of your surroundings. If you go to a nightclub or if you're going dancing, which is so much fun, and that's a way to meet people too, then make sure that you have your wits about you, and you don't want to overdo it because you want to be safe. And that's just common sense. Sorry, I just I just had to bring that up. So anyway, those are my tips of traveling alone. As a woman, as a traveler, my philosophy is I am single. I do not want that stopping me from traveling. If I find a group of women that I want to travel with, that's what I want to do. I want to lead a group of women traveling to different places. In September of next year, I'm going to plan a Scotland trip for women. But whether you go with a group or whether you don't, whether you have a partner, whether you don't let being alone stop you. Or come to me and I can help you get together with a group and go someplace really fun. So I hope these tips have been helpful. I think that In this day and age, traveling is easier and easier and easier. And if you have the means and you have the desire, there's nothing better than getting out there and exploring the world. It just does nothing but expand you as a person. So anyway, I hope those tips have been helpful, and let me know what you think. What do you think? I mean, what is your most fun thing to do when you travel? And do you travel alone? Have you traveled alone? And what tips do you have to share? As we build this community, it's so nice to share with each other. So anyway, have a really great day, and ciao for now. Bye.